this is the year that GoldenEye makes FPSs on the console a thing.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And sometime after the movie, by the way, kind of weird that this game just sort of pops up way after Sean Bean gets dropped in that giant satellite dish. And
spoilers.
Not ruined it.
Spoilers: Sean Bean dies. Whoa!
So, yeah.
Whoa.
Also,
what a revelation!
He's a good guy, but then secretly turns out to be a bad guy.
Wow.
No.
Callie, you played a lot of GoldenEye.
I played
didn't
a
you?
lot of GoldenEye.
So, like,
yeah.
what's your #1 GoldenEye memory?
God, I played a lot with my dad actually. So rather than an individual like mission or anything like that, my dad was the one who introduced me to like shooters and stuff, and that was our first like console shooter. And he was really excited because he'd been a long time shooter fan, and like he played Quake and stuff like that. And just being able to share that with him and going on and playing more shooters with him, that was really important to me. Like GoldenEye, I will always think of it in that way and not necessarily with the gameplay. Like I'm much more, you're mechanics, you got mechanics. I'm more of the experience of what I was doing in my life when a game came out.
Sure.
And when GoldenEye came out, that's, I spent a lot of time with my dad, and it meant a lot to me.
That's awesome. And a lot of people have memories like that, like where like GoldenEye is a game that there's so many stories that start with. I remember playing GoldenEye with my buddies in my dorm room.
Yeah. Right?
Well, you mentioned the dorm. I mean, this was a great year to be in college. You stayed up all day in the computer lab playing Quake, and then when they shut the lab down, you went back to the dorm and you played GoldenEye all night, and that's what you did. It was the best thing, and it was wonderful because multiplayer games were not particularly accessible, multiplayer shooters anyway, at this time.
Certainly not, no.
Yeah, so now the N64 had those 4 controller ports in the front, and when they made that beautiful marriage of that controller and that console and those wonderfully simplified mechanics, they didn't try to overdo it. They were like, what will work with this hardware?
It's unbelievable that we plugged in, last year we did a big project, the top 125 Nintendo games, and we did a GoldenEye Let's Play, and goodness gracious, that game is hard to play.
Yes.
You have this tiny little screen you're looking at.
It's so hard.
And it runs at like, this is not an exaggeration, like literally 10 to 15 frames per second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and we were all like, yeah, we're gonna play some GoldenEye, this is gonna be the best afternoon, I can't believe we get paid to do this. And
We spent hours staring at that.
And all of us were like, ooh.
I remember we had the old glass screened like CRT TVs, and we didn't know how to turn the radars off, so we just stick Post-it notes over them when we were playing pro style of it. But yeah, it's not good anymore. I think that's fair.
But at the
that's
time,
fair.
I mean, I spent, just like everybody, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so I was in middle school, high school, and we did a lot of GoldenEye. And I just hundreds of hours, I remember just playing in my basement. That's all we would do. GoldenEye, battle mode in Mario Kart 64. It became the couch co-op machine, but we shouldn't overlook the campaign either.
I was going to say, yeah, it did some very important things. Like, and this is not just, I think, a big deal for console games. This was actually kind of a relatively new thing, even for PC shooters, where it was an FPS where it was really objective based. Like you had other shooters at this point that gave you a little bit of freedom of movement, but these felt like sandboxes where you had to actually go around to different points in different orders and do different things.
Right. It's not a corridor shooter. It's something very different, and that was entirely.
They would really perfect it with Perfect Dark, but in GoldenEye we were seeing the beginnings of Rare. The higher difficulties would have you exploring different sections of the map that you didn't even need to. There's entire portions of these facilities and levels that you don't enter unless you're playing on a higher difficulty. Then you have to go do something over there and make your way out as a super spy.
Yeah.
And a year before Metal Gear Solid, we're thinking about stealth. We're actually thinking about, like, I don't want this guard to see me. I want to use my silenced gun. To
Karate chop.
Yeah,
Yes. I forgot
the
about
karate
that.
chop.
Yeah.
You want to take out security cameras. I mean, this sounds like every stealth game made today. But back then, no game on a console had ever had you do that.
I do want to say that escort mission is the worst thing in the world.
It is the worst thing with Natalia.
So we talked about how this game, like, now it's not good anymore, but the escort mission was bad then as well. That was that was the bane of my existence, and Natalia can go away.
I never finished the single player campaign. I
Really?
just threw the controller there and was like, yeah, I'm gonna play
Natalia,
Bond.
just take care of yourself.
I actually like that the game, once you beat it and got through it, especially on the higher difficulties, it just gave you the keys to the castle. And they give you, it's one of the only games where you could set these sliders for enemy health, enemy accuracy, speed, all this different stuff. And so I would do it sandbox style, just pick a random level, mess with the sliders, and just fart around. You know, that's how young Justin spent his time.
All this from a licensed game.
From a licensed
Yeah.
game, right.
That's what's crazy is I had the weird experience of playing GoldenEye for 500 hours, and then my wife and I rented and watched GoldenEye 2 or 3 years ago, and it follows that movie so
perfectly.
closely.
So close.
Like
So
when
close.
he's infiltrating the bathroom at the beginning of the second level, I'm like, it was just weird because like my memories are not the film, my memories are the game, and so it was this weird mishmash of just weird memories. It's a weird film to watch now.
But
Yeah.
it's an absolute classic. The game that is, and the film is a great James Bond film as well.